Good day, everyone. It's Meredith Leon-McCormack for World Bride Magazine with yet another episode. I have the privilege of capturing this young woman because she's so busy doing everything around New York City. Miss Ny Whitaker. Woo woo! Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, my sister.
How are you?
I'm great. It's a beautiful day outside. The sun is shining. The weather seems to have broken. I'm ready for spring.
And honey, you look spring-like with that blue. You look fabulous, fabulous. So I want to jump right into it. Please tell us your full name, the name of your company, and what is it that you do?
Sure, thank you. First of all, congratulations on celebrating 20 years of World Bride Magazine. That is a huge achievement. I'm so proud of you, and so I'm very happy to be here with you today.
Thank you.
Yes, my name is Ny Whitaker, and I'm the founder and chief strategist of Project Nine LLC. I like to say we are a marketing and management consulting firm that specializes in social impact and storytelling. And I love events because they're a beautiful way to tell a story and help create memories.
I love that. But you don't just love events. You've worked with some of the most prominent figures in the event space, conferences, even the city of New York. You just came back from speaking in several platforms, huge, notable places. Can you give us a little background on how did you get started in the event space industry?
Sure. Very funny story. I went to a very prestigious school called Convent of the Sacred Heart, which is located in two gilded mansions, the James Burden and the Otto Kahn Mansion. And I used to volunteer to help Sister Pat Meyer. This nun was the head of events. She was known as the plant manager or the facilities manager, but she was also responsible for booking the venues for rentals. So when I was growing up and going to school there, so many famous movies and bridal shoots were shot there. Annie
Wow.
Leibovitz used to film there. The movie Working Girl with Melanie Griffin and Harrison Ford was filmed there. And so it was just this magical place where I would see it be a space of education for young women during the day. And then it
Mhm.
would transform during the nights and over the weekends. And so first I started volunteering. Instead, I started working there. So my
Wow.
first real job over the summers, kind of as a young teenager, was being behind the scenes of these very elaborate, magical moments where our school, what I knew as our school library or our cafeteria, was transformed into these beautiful places with brides coming in, looking so majestic, or celebrities coming in
Mhm.
to film movies and tell great stories that we still watch today. And so I really fell in love with how the space, which seemed ordinary during the day, could be transformed into something magical and memorable behind the scenes.
That's amazing that at that young, tender age that you knew to volunteer and it led you to a whole different other world, which now you are a leader in. Because I think I'm not going to say it's all young people. I think everyone seems to think that they can wake up and they get it. There's no stages into coming into the success of anything that we do. They want it right now. Everything is instant, Instagrammable, you know. I want the satisfaction right this second. But yet you knew that volunteer, well, you didn't know what you would do, but you knew that this is what you liked at that moment and you were
Hmm.
willing to try it. I think that's extraordinary. So tell me, it's so funny that you mentioned that movies were shot there in the school when, we were talking earlier, we were talking about like everybody's always inspired by, Jennifer Lopez and, she's the forever wedding planner of every, love story movie, and so it's so funny because people look at those movies and say, "Oh, I can become a wedding planner." We're like, it's a real job. It looks glamorous and funny and all of that, but it's a real job. What
It
have been
is.
some of your challenges in curating events? Because you don't just do weddings,
Right.
you do major corporate events. Can you
Right.
just elaborate some of the
Sure.
challenges?
I think that I've been blessed. I've been in the industry over 30 years to be able to kind of reinvent myself and to pivot as the industry pivots.
Hmm.
So my business first started, we were called Events by Nye, and we started doing events back when I first had my son and wanted to leave corporate. I knew that I wanted to be in events professionally. I've worked in events in the tech industry, producing major events for companies like Hewlett Packard,
Wow.
and all of the big tech conferences. I worked in pharma and medical events, right? Bringing doctors together and talking about life-changing, scientific advancements. And then I worked in education, right? Producing events for NYU graduations and big
Wow.
dignitary events. And then went on to the White House, producing events and traveling around the world. And I believe that what I've loved about the event industry is it's sustained me through, that I could reinvent myself depending on my interests and my passions, and use events as an opportunity to learn and grow. And I do think that there's this misnomer, right, that everybody can be an event planner in 5 minutes. I do like to say that we are always planning events. We're planning baby showers in our own personal lives. We're planning meeting our friends for dinner. We're planning our family vacations, right, with our loved ones. And so we're always in this state of planning. But I do think that it is a skill set. It is a profession that does take education, re-education, and participation in our industry, going to an events, learning from the masters that have been around. I was blessed. I grew up at a time in the industry when there was Preston Bailey, who was showing us the beauty of events and being so creative, and taking it to a new level. I was very lucky to be at a time when actually people were just starting to make the event industry into a profession, right? Before it was the office manager got to do it, or someone's spouse got to do it, or
Hmm.
someone's
Hmm.
mother, right? A parent was doing it. I was growing up at a time when it was just starting to become a profession. I mean, I'm lucky now. I actually teach at NYU, and we're teaching marketing and events and hospitality, and it's grown into a multi-million-dollar industry. And I do think that it doesn't happen overnight. It happens by learning, by being in the space, by trying new things. And I think one of the biggest challenges people have is underestimating all of the little nuances and details that go in.
Hmm.
It's not just how beautiful the florals are. It's, is someone allergic to a certain type of floral? Is it the right
Mm.
season for that type of flower? How are you going to use the flowers afterwards to make sure you're being sustainable and respectful to the
Mm.
environment and to our planet? So there's so many other layers and nuances that go into making an event seem seamless,
Right.
right? Seem as if there was no budgetary constraints, there was no element that was ignored. What our goal is to make sure that guests show up, they have a beautiful and memorable moment,
Mhm.
and that they don't know all of the quote unquote drama that may have taken place behind the scenes to make that moment spectacular.
That's amazing. You in all of this transitioning, this reinventing yourself, you pivoting, you are about to take on a major role in the event space, educational, networking industry. Can you tell us the name of the organization and what will be your new role?
Thank you so much. Yes, this coming June, I will be sworn in as the president of the International Live Event Association's New York Metro chapter. Many people may recall from a long time ago, it used to be called the International Special Event Society. So I've been a member for over 20 years. I was the vice president of programs and partnerships many years ago,
Mhm.
and I'm now back. I like to use that. I'm back as the president. And so I'll be sworn in June. Would love to invite Worldwide Magazine to partner with us and to cover our amazing gala. It's known as the Big Apple Awards, and we honor industry leaders, and we also honor rising stars. It's a great opportunity to have young professionals in the space with our seasoned professionals. We bring together planners, wedding planners, meeting planners, exhibition planners, conference planners, And we also bring together educators in the space of hospitality, marketing, and events. And we bring in all of our partners, the
I
venues, the
love that.
caterers, the suppliers, all together, nearly 150, 200 people in a room to celebrate the industry and to honor our rising stars and our seasoned leaders. And I love the Big Apple Awards. I've actually been honored to have won several Big Apple Awards in my lifetime in partnership with iStar Financial, the Joe Torre Safe at Home Foundation, and Alpine Creative Group, which is an amazing invitation company that I work with. And so it's a great opportunity. And I invite everybody. I will definitely share the information with you so we can share it out to make sure that we celebrate the work that we do. It's a professional association with about 4,000 members, both
Wow.
nationally and internationally. And this is just our New York Metro chapter. So it's a New York, New Jersey, Connecticut group of individuals working in the space. We've got amazing partners helping us to produce it. And we're going to be at a great venue, a private club called Lever House, located at 390 Park Avenue in Manhattan. And so we're
That's
going to host a
fantastic.
party on Park.
Wow. And so you just taking on that position, again, it's another hat you need to wear in addition to the fact that you have a teaching at one of the most prestigious universities in New York. But at the same time, you have your private clients that you host events and you do speaking engagements.
Yes, I do.
So doesn't that, isn't that the reason why a couple would hire someone like you that can multitask, that knows how to do, and if you can manage your life that way, I need you to manage my one day event or maybe my weekend event.
I always say one of the things that I bring to the table is that I have a beautiful network, friends like you in the industry who I can pick up the phone and make a call and say,
Mhm,
I need to know the newest, hottest venue for weddings. I need to make sure we're going to go internationally. Who do we know in Italy? Who do we know in Spain? Who do we
mhm,
know in Africa? That we can find the most unique place that we can bring together this beautiful memory and tell a story that brings the vision of the client, whether that is a bride or dignitary, to reality. And I think that that's one of the reasons why I actually love this profession is the network of kind of colleagues that I've been able to build over these 30 some odd years in the profession that I feel like I can pick up the phone and call someone in any state or any country and they will rally. And ditto, that I provide the same service to my colleagues
right,
when they call me. And I think that sisterhood, as I like to say with you, but that family,
right.
is really important, especially when the pandemic came and everyone had to pivot. I think it was really a time when the industry rallied, and now we've built back even better.
You know what? In all that you have said, the thing that's like getting me mesmerized is the fact that you're a huge fan and advocate for collaborations. Like we met at Mark Wilson's event, and he sat us together, and you were just the busy bee that knew everyone, but at the same time, you have managed to keep in touch with everyone, and
Mhm.
you make sure that people are included in it. Because sometimes, some, very few, I want to say very few, um, want to gatekeep. They want to keep the information only for themselves as though as if they keep it alone, that's what's going to keep them uniquely unique, which is not the case oftentimes. You know, what we need is collaborations. Why would I want to be the one that knows everything when I have a huge amount of friends that are knowledgeable? I don't need to know everything because my network keeps me uplifted. They
Right.
make me look good. And that's what I often tell people when they're like, oh my God, the magazine is so great. You did a great job. I said, no, I have a great team. My
You're
team
a great
is,
leader, and so people
and
are
thank
willing to
you.
follow you. So
Thank you.
let's not lessen your magic and your moment. You are a great leader, you are a great mind, you are great talent in this industry, you are very visionary, and so people are attracted to the beautiful energy that you walk
Thank
around and bring into
you.
rooms. But I do say that my theme, my personal mission is building community.
Hmm.
I do think it's important. They say your network is your net worth. And so I
Hmm.
always try to keep good people around me, good vendors, people who understand my vision. I always say, We are walking on this planet together, and I do believe it's important to create spaces to bring other people along with you, whether I am mentoring at the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center and helping new entrepreneurs come into whatever industry they'd like to make a difference in, or if I'm teaching at NYU, helping to nurture our new talent in the events and hospitality and marketing industry, or just working with colleagues and friends. I've called you Myrdith, you've called me. I think it's
Absolutely.
important to bring community and to build community and to bring others into your spaces. One, because it's always a place of learning, right? I was at
Absolutely.
Carnegie Hall the other day, looking
Yep.
at the beautiful space and the ways that it could be used and transformed for events. You know, I could be at a museum, looking at how it can be used, and I
Mhm.
invite my friends. You know, the Studio Museum just opened. I invite my friends to come and see how can we use this space? How
Right.
can we bring new vendors, diverse vendors? And also, I do that when I'm speaking, right? How do we speak to diverse audiences? How do we bring diverse speakers to events? And even with brides, you know, I have brides all the time who see something in a magazine or they see something on Pinterest. They make a vision board and they
Right.
think they want X, right? They want a look, a feel that's Instagrammable, to use your moment. But sometimes I'll say, well, go see two or three places that meet
Right.
that vision, but I always take them somewhere else. And nine times out of 10, they like the other option that
Right.
I proposed to them. And it's usually a place or space that they had not even thought of as an option, either because of budget or because of their vision.
Right.
And, you know, it's up to us to help them tell a different story. And I think it's really important that we stress, particularly at this moment in our history and in the world, collaboration and building
Absolutely.
community and open doors and spaces to bring others along with us on this journey.
I really agree with you because that's one of the things that is so important to me. When I got into this industry, the publishing world, it was not necessarily accidental, but intentionally in the back of my head. Because since I was a kid, I knew I wanted to be in publishing. Did I know that I would be the leader of it? No. I just thought I would be working for a Vogue or a Teen Vogue or something like that. And I was happy just being a part of the team.
Right.
But it was that one moment of me working at a salon, Red Salon, with Deborah Hairbay, who I am still friends with, who is still a contributing editor for World Bride magazine, that I worked with her as a celebrity manicurist, became a celebrity manicurist because of her, and having an editor come into the position, into the salon, got a service, wrote about us, then me going to a photo shoot, working for them, then me writing, contributing for a nail magazine in England, going to Qatar, turning around. This whole world just kept growing, growing because my community grew
Mm-hmm.
because I met Deborah Hairbay, I met Peter Brown, I met Diane Hendy, I met Rodney Love Jones. All of those meetings led me to another meeting, but I had to make myself available to be able to be in those positions so that I could work for Vogue, so that I could work for a Condé Nast Hearst Meredith publication, so that this is like those platforms were literally my university classes. They taught me the people that I knew that helped me grow this thing into a global network of people. And like you said, I'm able to grow a community because I allowed and invited
Mm-hmm.
people into my network. And so
Mm-hmm.
I love what you said when you're saying building a community and flourishing because of it. And I think that's what makes you a great, that's going to make you, it makes you a great leader with your own business, but what's going to make you a great leader for the organization that you're going to usher in June. You know, I think it was a great appointment and I can't wait to support you. And I know people are rooting for you. Um, it's it's the reason why I feel if I had a major event, I would consider, hey, how do I make Nye a part of my team?
And
You know,
ditto.
yeah. Do you know
I
what I'm
would call
saying?
you first scene
Yeah.
style.
Yeah, and that's where I think that we have to stop looking at each other as competition. Like there's room enough for everyone in here. We just have to see the value in everyone. Like during the pandemic, I called together a group of independent magazine owners, Love Inc., Love Story Magazine, Monolucci, um, Black Brides, and we had a whole conference conversation. And I even brought my mentors in, Mickey Taylor, to come in, be part of that conversation of the impact that magazines and um, how we, today's new editors, what we look like, who we are, and how we rally around each other
Hmm.
to do
Hmm.
that. So people always ask me, so who's your competitor? I don't have a competitor.
I feel the
Why?
same way.
I don't have a competitor. I don't look at, Jackie as a competitor. I just see her as a fellow publisher. And how can we collaborate? If something doesn't fit me, I'm going to send it to them. And I feel the same way when people send me certain weddings that we don't cover in a plethora. I'm like, hey, I have Brittany who has Love Inc. magazine. She might be phenomenal for this.
Exactly. And
You
we do
know,
that all the time. And that's, I think, also that's something that we do as women, specifically
Oh.
something we do as women of color. But I'm not sure that everybody does that. There are people who literally have a list of who their competitors are and are making decisions to move into spaces or not move into spaces based on that.
Mhm.
I believe, that I've built a book of business across a variety of industries that makes me very unique. I also have a lived experience that makes me very unique. And I have a community that I can rally at any point in time to help make sure that my project, my client's event is a success. And I do think that that's something that is kind of missing these
Yeah.
days. Many, because just how they see the world, that's just how they work kind of in a
Mhm.
silo. Also, some because of the pandemic, right? Some organizations went out of business. People went into kind of very narrow, niches. But I think that the more people you have at the table, the more experts that you have in your
Mhm.
network, the better you are as a business owner, the better you are as an event professional, and the more
Absolutely.
creative you can be because you know how to source things and
Absolutely.
get things that other people can't get. And you may get them in a more reasonably or affordable time frame or on a different budget or different access, right? I mean, the venue that we're going into for our gala this year is a members only club, but it was through another contact that we made a call and we
I
got
love
access.
that.
And I do that a lot for my clients. I'm actually producing an alumni event for all of the us who formerly worked for President Obama. It's going to be in New York
Wow.
City this week, and it's part of a
Wow.
whirlwind tour to gather the alumni together in advance of the opening of the Obama Presidential Center, which was just announced for this June.
I
It's
saw
going to be
that.
over Juneteenth weekend, and so we're having an event in the city. There'll be an event in DC, and across the nation, people gathering that are getting excited for this moment. And it's that kind of always building community, something that he also reinstilled in us, and it still lives with me today. I think that when you move with community, you move with impact. And that's why I
Right.
always say that my company is centered on social impact and storytelling. And whether that is building a corporate event that's going to train our future leaders of business and industry, whether that is putting together a graduation to celebrate young people that are graduating from an NYU, or if that's putting together a social impact campaign for a particular brand, I'm always thinking about community, both the community I bring forward for the project, but the community that's going to be impacted
I
by
love
the project or the community that you're gathering or convening for the event. It's really important to center community across the spectrum of an event in order to be successful.
I think that's brilliant. And what a way to end our conversation. I can't wait to see you. I think we're going to be hanging out in Italy.
I think we are. What, 9 days and counting?
Thank you so much for everything and the conversation. I want to have you back once you get settled into your new position as president. Madam President.
I look forward to collaborating with you. One of the things I want
Absolutely.
to do is bring the
Absolutely.
publications, bring the venues, bring
Yeah,
all the people in the bridal space together in a new and interesting way to build community from
absolutely.
2026 into 2027.
I love that. And I think you're going to be fantastical,
Thank
literally fantastical.
you.
So thank you. What is the website that people can follow you, the Instagram or social media that they can follow you and keep up with your information, the information that you're going to provide and any activations, and how do they become members of ILEA?
Yes, that's a great question. So first, the best way to reach me is through my website. It's www.nywhitaker.com. Our company is Project Nyne LLC. And if you want to learn more, we're at ILEA New York Metro.com, or you can just email me, nye@project9.com.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, young lady.
Thank you, Myrdith. I'm so proud of you again. Congratulations on 20
Thank
years.
you. Thank you. So, guys, there you have it. That was the one and only Nye. We're going to stick close to her. We're going to feed you information. So, stay tuned as we continue on the journey of finding other wonderful wedding event professionals that want to invite you into our world. Until the next time, ciao, Bella.